Okay, so someone asked on Reddit whatever they should be learning, Amazon services or AI, that they're getting conflicting information. I suggest that you do both. And this is probably a common question. Like, should I learn L&M? Should I learn this? My job is not telling me to do it. I'm come from a very different background and I'm a woman. So I think differently in general. I know there's a lot of men in data science, and I think you guys probably have a different motivation as far as like gaming, sort of the system and all this other stuff that goes along with it. Maybe a woman too. I don't know. I'm a different kind of person. So I approach things very differently. I do also game the system. If someone says, I'm going to offer you a very large sum of money, and here's an interview that I've set up for you, I'm probably going to go ahead and do some test practices, etc. But right now, I usually benefit off of my framework. And this allows me to have conversations and continuously build my knowledge without forgetting stuff. The normal way of learning or the cultural way of learning this stuff does not work for me. I have to use it this way, and it usually takes how do you say it? The competitiveness and the life alteration of trying to learn lead code. Like, people will alter their life in order to learn something, like to be in law, almost like they're going into law school. And of course, the reward is very high. So, of course, that will require you to make some sacrifices. But for me, myself, because I put so much effort into learning the framework, I do not bother myself with that. But that may be the best thing. You may need that. I'm different, right? I'm different. But you can use this framework in your competitiveness, right? No, you got to work hard. You got to get your adrenaline. You have to be the best. Whatever it is that you're doing. I'm a little different, okay? So what I do is I try to understand the players of the game, because it's all a game. Who are these people and what services they provide? This is a private company in the US. They're not putting this stuff up for free. If they're doing it for free, they're usually getting something out of it. What service are they providing? They're providing a load of basically computational services. It usually solves a problem. So with that, it helps me break this down. So I can look at what is Redshift. Because whenever you look at, everyone's like, oh, you need to learn AWS. Which one? There are so many services. So AWS for data analytics and data science. That's usually what I go for. So I'm like, what does this actually do under the hood, right? I'm familiar with the players, so I don't need to know too much. I can kind of get an understanding of what this is, which is a data warehouse, okay? I almost want to say it's a microservice. It is a service. You have your actual database where you store your actual stuff, and then you can project that through into a data warehouse. This allows people to query information, etc., from different places, different teams. Okay. All right. And then you have Athena, and Athena works with Redshift to basically analyze information. Okay. So what is Athena, right? And you can actually use something you're familiar with, which is SQL, which is very important. So you're not learning AWS code or their version of AWS code. You can actually utilize SQL to make inquiries, okay? And you can make inquiries from Redshift. So queries from Amazon, Athena, from data. I'm putting extra words in, but basically it's a connection to Amazon Redshift. If I go back to my framework, I can kind of see where I've tried to set this up and have questions. So that's where your connections come in. Like where can I actually connect these things to or from, right? So these things can be connected together. This can query this, which is serverless, and you can project your databases or your information data set together into this. So it almost feels like let's say that I have a team in India and I have a database in the US, without having them actually have the credentials to go actually in my database, I can project something to them to where they have access to what it is that they need to work with, which goes into work groups. Work groups not only set out access, it also sets up a computational time because that's how they get paid. They get paid because they provide a particular service. And if you don't want to go over a certain amount, which can, if you think about it, how much money you actually spend on these services, you don't want to go over a certain amount, and you also don't want to give one team more than the other. So you can actually break it down through work groups, and there's some other security stuff that goes along with work groups too. Then your buckets, and buckets is where you can store information. This is what I'm familiar with. This is what I started with AWS. It's just the buckets because I hosted videos and some other content that I did not want, like a video on YouTube, and I have built out a membership, and I basically uploaded my video to the buckets, and then I would basically put it on the web page, and it would play in the web page itself, and it wasn't hosted on YouTube or anything. Okay, that's what I'm familiar with. I'm also familiar with their another service that they have, but that was with like building apps, which I don't do anymore. Public access is also associated with the buckets, so certain things like the website had to have public access in order to revive that from the buckets itself. And there's also virtual hosting, which is a URL, etc., etc. These are things that I noticed when I was actually looking at the actual workflow. Like, you could not set Athena up without having a database, without having a work group, and etc. And what are these things? Because I can put anything in there, and usually that's what I do. I just press the buttons or look up YouTube until it actually lets me set it up. And then I'm wondering, well, how did I set it up? And what is this? And why do I have to have it? So breaking these concepts down are very important. And usually I start with something very simple like this. And to begin to fill these things out as I'm reading documentation or as I'm working through the workflow with my tutorial. Tutorials do not always tell you about the intricacies of what these things are. And you also have to double check. Okay? Double check to make sure the information is also updated. This is my setup here, just to show you that this is the tables that I actually set it up. This is a table that was with SageMaker, and then this is my table that I actually imported in. Okay? Into machine learning. So, this is not Gen AI, which is different. Gen AI, I think it's like it generates, and there's also AI that's automatic. This is the basic of machine learning as far as I know, and I have not used this. So if I'm wrong, let me know. Important thing is the cost. Always know there is a cost associated with it, okay? So anyway, you can run models in here. I suggest you start with a basic notebook with Google, and then go into working with AWS Redshift if this is actually costing you some money. That's my advice. But basically, you can run models in here. I haven't ran models. I think it's a little bit different than how you would run a model in Google. So that's something that you can work towards. I don't think it's going to help you understand the math behind machine learning. Because in math, I mean the theory behind machine learning, like how it actually works. I don't think you're going to learn that. I think you would literally need to take the time to either take a course, which I actually did. Surprising! I actually took a computer science course, 3-level, passed. There were people who were in computer science that did not pass that course, and I actually passed. So that's the one computer science course that I was allowed to take. Everything else, you had to have a major of computer science and prerequisites, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, it's not going to help you understand the math. And basically the course that I took didn't help me understand the math either. It helped me understand very basic concepts. I had to go in and understand the math itself and start working with stuff. And most of the time, I use basic models and basic data that I understood. Sometimes I would beef it up to more complex just to understand how it actually works. And there is a lot of information on YouTube for that. But in order to get the most out of it, you got to have a framework that works for you. And me, my learning is nonlinear, which is amazing. I just learned about typography randomly. I tried to understand the math of typography maybe 2 months ago or so. Went into it, kind of understood it, got the framework of it, literally left it alone, came back to it, and then all of a sudden my skills went way up. So, and then again, I'm in a position to where I'm not really seeking, unless the offer is like a private offer, somebody pulls me to the side, I'm gonna say, I actually like how you think, I'm gonna give you this job offer. I don't pursue data scientists, and actually I can't anyway, because I don't have a computer science degree. They look for that. And then one of the reasons why, because of the math it takes to actually understand how these models work if you want to build it. So it's really your decision about how far you want to go and how much you want to invest. I am not in the FANG rigmarole. I don't want to learn like that because I can't retain information like that anyway. It's not going to help me. I prefer this way. But having a framework and understanding how you learn is going to be important. That's pretty much all I have to say, and I hope that makes sense. Like, do your research, like, to know what you actually need to be learning from or what you need to actually do for a position or job. I don't chase jobs. Unfortunately, it just never works. What I usually look at is just a general of what people want, and then I try to knock down some of the recommendations that they have here. I look at it as recommendations basically. So what is data architecture? Okay, knock that down. What's Python? Okay, R and Python. R, who uses R? But I do know R from social science. Okay, I know a little bit of R. And R actually for social science is excellent. I'm going to be honest with you. But they're just libraries. Anyway, SQL, gotta have that. Extraction, transform, and load, you got to understand that basic concepts. I don't just go in and sort of knock this stuff down. Nobody's asking for typography, but it is in the data analysis arena, and that's something that they're pushing. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, let me know about the framework, and I hope everything works out for you. If you guys have any questions, I'll see you in the next time. Bye. That didn't make sense at all.